Ladies and gentlemen, I got an article that came out on the Wall Street Journal, and it's probably what you can expect as far as incomes in America. So in 2020, incomes fell. The last time incomes had a dramatic drop was in 2011. So this is the Wall Street Journal, September 14th, 2021. And all of this is the fallout from the pandemic. Many people lost their jobs. Jobs never were coming back after the lockdown. And there are an awful lot of low income jobs out here. And, it is just not the same. And I had said this before. America has a whole different feel to it now. It don't even feel the same as it did in 2019. It is very different. So American incomes fell last year despite increased government aid tied to the pandemic that prevented millions of Americans from falling into poverty. Census Bureau figures released Tuesday show the new data and an annual assessment of the nation's financial well being offers insight into how households fared during the pandemic's first year and arrives as Washington debates how much more to spend to bolster the economy during the worst public health crisis in a century. Median household incomes were roughly 67,500 in 2020, down 2.9% from the prior year, when it hit an inflation adjusted historic high. The last time median household incomes fell significantly was in 2011, in the aftermath of the 2007 and 2009 recession. The poverty rate in 2020 was 11.4%, an increase of 1% point from 2019. The first increase after 5 consecutive years of decline. That translated to 37.2 million people in poverty, an increase of 3.3 million from 2019. For a four-person household, the threshold for meeting the definition of poverty was about $26,000 in 2020. The official poverty measure doesn't reflect how much a household pays in taxes, and it also omit non-cash government aid like tax credits, housing subsidies, and free school lunches. A broader poverty measure that accounts for such expenses and income actually fell last year to 9.1%, down 2.6 percent points from 2019. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it has been very rough for real for many people since the beginning of the pandemic. The decrease coinciding with an increase in the official poverty rate highlighted the role of the government safety net, which was expanded during the pandemic. The two poverty yardsticks have tracked closely for a decade, but last year was the first time that the supplemental measure dropped below the official measure. And, ladies and gentlemen, being that 7.5 million people were dropped from unemployment, I would imagine the numbers are going to be even worse in 2021. Without the first two rounds of stimulus checks issued last year, the broader poverty measure would have risen almost a percentage point instead of a drop, the Bureau said. Specifically, stimulus checks moved 11.7 million people above the poverty threshold if their effect was calculated alone. In the same manner, expanded unemployment programs did so far 5.5 million people, refundable tax credits, such as the Earned Income Tax Credit, did so for 5.3 million people. The Social Security program, however, remained the largest safety net program, lifting 26.5 million people above the poverty line. The increase in poverty would have been even larger if it were not for the ample fiscal support provided over the past year. After continued direct federal payments made to households in 2021 and enhanced unemployment benefits that expired early September, Ms. Siri said an improving unemployment picture should help households. Well, not necessarily if you don't have good jobs out here. With a robust demand for labor exhibited by a record 10.9 million job openings in July and average hourly, they're claiming the hourly rates are rising. The current environment should help lure workers back into the worksite, she said. The Bureau also said Tuesday the proportion of Americans without health insurance for all of 2020 was 8.6%, essentially unchanged from 2018. About 28 million Americans lack health insurance, according to the survey. Median earnings in 2020 of those who worked full time year round increased 6.9% from 2019. The 2020 female to male earning ratio was 83%, essentially unchanged from the previous year. The distribution of incomes changed a little. The top fifth households with income above $141,100 collected 52.2% of household incomes, while the top 5% alone with incomes above 273,700 collected 23%. The Bureau reported that income shares collected by the lowest group dropped slightly. The fifth lowest of households making less than $27,000 collected 3%, down from 3.1% in 2019. The second fifth of incomes. Uh uh uh. Okay. In 2020, the median household incomes decreased 3.2% in the Midwest and 2.3% in the South and West, the Bureau said. The change in the Northeast between 2019 and 2020 wasn't, they said, that was not as dramatic as it was in other places. So the Northeast, according to what this is saying, is doing a little better than other places. Median incomes are highest in the Northeast, $75,211, and the West, $74,951, followed by the Midwest, $66,968, and the South, $61,243. Households with the lowest level of educational attainment logged the greatest declines in their income. For those headed by someone without a high school diploma, incomes dropped 5.7%, while those headed by someone with some college education or a bachelor's degree or higher recorded a 2.8% decline. On the road ahead for the U.S. economy looks more uncertain than earlier in 2021. The recent weeks' growing evidence has built of a lost momentum, as cases continue to rise in the country, chain supply challenges, and a lack of workers for low paying jobs are also weighing on the economic growth. So I guess they're saying, well, we know they're not the best jobs, but somebody's got to take them. Rocky Smith, a 41-year-old union worker who cuts metal parts down to size after they exit a furnace, said things are looking up for his family. All right, so he's in Michigan after being laid off in April 2020. He said he wasn't hired back until July 2021. Smith said he is now making more than 20 an hour at his full-time job. His wife said resume you know he resumed working during his unemployment, and the family skipped out on meals and other luxuries. We roll with the punches, said Mr. Smith, a former boxer. Life hit us, but we made it work. So according to this, 2020 poverty in the country rose. And we know this happened. Look, remember the food lines in America? And we would look at the lines stretching back sometimes over 5 miles of people looking to get a box of food at a food bank. And we just saw numerous things happen income wise to many people. Some people, after unemployment is over, they have nothing to go back to. No job is going to call them because as soon as the lockdown happened, their place of employment closed permanently. And America is just never going to be the same. I think this is the new normal. You're just going to see a lot of struggling happening over the next several years. And they already said, as far as the shortages, there is no end in sight. They anticipate the worker shortage and shortage of items and supplies will continue on. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.